Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Let's Get Personal with ESU. This webcast has been brought to you by the Employment Services Unit of Saskatoon Open Door Society. My name is Megan, and I'll be your host for today. So today we'll be interviewing Michael Afenfia. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi, Megan. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where you're from?
Thanks again, Megan. My name is Michael Afenfia. I'm from Nigeria. I have been in Canada, Saskatoon, for a year and a month now. I trained as a lawyer back home in Nigeria, worked as a lawyer for a number of years, and then did some other stuff, worked in banking, worked in government and with politicians. Also became a successful writer. I'm the author of a number of successful novels back home in Nigeria as well. And here in Canada, I work with Saskatoon Open Door Society as a cultural bridging facilitator, essentially, helping newcomers and the community get well acquainted with each other to help with the process of belonging and inclusion.
I see. Thank you for that detailed description. That's awesome. Could you talk a little bit about where you grew up and how that experience shaped who you are?
Yeah, my dad was, like a cop. So we traveled a lot as kids, moved from one city to another. And that was interesting because, when you do that, it gives you the opportunity of getting to know a lot of people, meeting a lot of people, getting familiar with cultures that are different from yours. So that traveling and moving around, kind of helped me and shaped me and prepared me for being able to meet other people and adjust to situations. I also grew up in a large family. I guess that's the most interesting thing about my childhood. The fact that I am the ninth child from a large family of 11 children. And so I had a lot of older siblings who I was able to learn from or get scolded by them when I didn't do so well. But it was fun, having so many older ones I could run to when I needed advice or encouragement or just learning from their experiences. So I didn't have to make as many mistakes as they did.
Right. And are any of your siblings here in Canada, or are they all back in Nigeria?
No. My siblings are all back home in Nigeria. And yeah, I'm the one who they sent out to come and make this experiment. So.
Wow, lucky you.
Yeah, and I'm reporting back to them.
I see. So when was the last time that you were back in Nigeria? Has it been a while?
Yeah, I haven't been back home, Nigeria since I moved here to Saskatoon. So I basically just keep in touch with what's happening there, either through social media or when I have a chance to speak with my siblings. There's a 7-hour difference. So that kind of makes communication a bit difficult because then they'll call you up in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, like, oh, no, please, I need to go back to sleep. Can we talk later?
Yeah, I see. So you said that you have your MBA in law, correct?
Yeah, MBA and a law degree as well.
I see. So did you enjoy studying law? And have you thought of pursuing law here at all?
I enjoyed studying law. And interestingly, all through my 5 years in the university studying law, I was actually, the best student from my, first year to my 5th year. And I graduated as the best graduating student in my set. So everybody assumed I was going to be, go ahead and practice law and become a very successful lawyer. But I think I had other interests. My writing was something I was very passionate about, and I thought it was something I wanted to pay attention to. I also wanted to work in an interdisciplinary setting. So I thought studying law and practicing as a lawyer was going to deprive me of that opportunity. So in the course of my career back home in Nigeria, I've had to work, in the bank. So I've worked with bankers. I've worked in construction, so I've worked with architects and builders. I've worked in government, so I've had the opportunity of working with politicians, and people in authority. And so I thought if I had just, stuck to law, I wouldn't know as much as I do now, because working, in different sectors kind of helps your mindset, and maybe it also helps my writing too, because I can write about a lot of experiences just based on all the places I have worked and the things that I have learned. So I don't regret studying law. I also, at some point, even while studying law, while doing so well in law school, kind of saw justice was not automatic. A lot of factors affect the ability of someone to get justice at the end of the day. So when it is not timely, or when it is influenced by other factors, it's not justice. And I didn't want to find myself in that sort of environment.
Thank you. Congratulations. You're a very accomplished person and
Thank you.
a man of all trades. So my next question is, how did you come to Saskatoon, and what made you decide to move to Canada?
The smart answer, right, would be that I came because of my children. Like, I wanted my two boys to have the sort of opportunities I didn't have growing up in a city, in a country like Canada. I didn't have that opportunity, so I thought to give it to them now that I can. That would be the smart answer. And the not so smart answer would be that I have this friend who is in Canada now. He came in before me, and he just kept singing it like a song. Mike, we have to go to Canada. We have to go to Canada. So I think that stuck like in my head. And at some point I thought, okay, you know what? So this guy will stop bugging my life. I should start this process. And started the process, and we're here today.
That sounds great. Is there a lot of differences between where you're from and Saskatoon? I'm sure the weather is one. I don't know. Have you gotten used to the winter yet?
So I survived my first winter. So I think that's a good sign. That, but it was tough. I know we were warned when we first got here about the winter and how brutal it could be. And every time they said, we came in August, so it was like, summer, fall. And we kind of eased into the colder weather, and people kept saying, "Oh, wait, winter is coming, winter is coming," and it felt like I was in the Game of Thrones. Just waiting for the winter to come. And it was brutal, I must confess. Like I'd never been in that sort of weather before, and sometimes I felt like the cold was human, and it was an mission to make my life miserable. But I didn't succumb. I guess over time I learned to layer up and dress properly for the weather. And then again, just realizing that I'm not the only one, right? There's so many of us who are in this same situation, and a lot of people who have lived all their lives in Saskatoon and cannot imagine living anywhere else.
So, and you're liking Saskatoon so far? No plans on moving anywhere else in the near future?
Yeah, I love Saskatoon. I don't have any plans of moving anywhere else in the near future. I love Saskatoon because, like you said, I'm fairly recent here. But I think in this very short period of being here, I have become a part of the community. And so even more so than places I'd lived for much longer. And so living Saskatoon now, or even just the thought of it, would be heartbreak.
Could you talk a bit about your recent written work that viewers and listeners can check out?
Oh yeah, so my current work, my most recent book was released in Nigeria on the 15th of June, and it's titled "The Mechanics of Yenagoa." The Mechanics of Yenagoa. Yenagoa is Yenagoa, and Yenagoa is the city I lived in Nigeria before moving to Saskatoon. Saskatoon reminds me a lot of Yenagoa because it's a small city as well. Not many people in Nigeria even know Yenagoa. Same thing as Canada, like not many people around the world know of Saskatoon. And I know when I first told my friends that I was coming to Canada, because back home you really don't tell people, you really don't tell them until you're sure everything has worked out. No, you probably don't even tell them until you arrive Canada, right? Because you don't want it jinxed, so you keep it a secret. But you have to tell some people anyway. So eventually I told people, oh, I have my PR and I'll be going to Canada soon. And I'm like, oh, you're going to Canada? Oh, congrats. Where are you going to? Saskatoon. And they'll be like, oh, I thought you said you were going to Canada. Like,
Yeah.
Saskatoon is in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the mechanics of Yanagua, the book is about my city and it's about the life of ordinary people. And I've been very excited since the book was published because it gave me something, to look forward to. Promoting the book, even though I'm here in Canada, I'm still promoting the book back home in Canada, and it's doing so well. It has trended on Twitter in Nigeria. Was
Oh,
like
wow.
the number three trending topic in Nigeria
Oh,
for at
amazing.
least one day in Nigeria. The sales have been good. The feedback have been good, and yeah, there are even talks of like maybe even a movie deal or something. So I'm really excited
Great.
about it.
Great. And when did you write this book? Like, when was
Uh,
it published?
yeah, it was published last this year
Oh,
in
right.
June.
Yes, yeah, right. You said that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but I wrote it, finished writing in before I came to Canada, and interestingly, I signed the deal with the publishers. The eve of my leaving Nigeria was when I signed for the book to be published, and they worked on it. It was published in June, and yeah, has been doing very well since.
So did you always like writing stories since you were young?
Yeah, from elementary school and high school, I kind of knew that was something I was good at and was something I would love to.
Is there a exciting story that you can share with us today?
Oh, so my colleague I work with, Anita in Open Door, and yeah, she's always happy to listen to my stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got quite a few, about moving here and trying to adjust to life here in Canada. So I remember like driving to car wash,
Oh, yes.
driving to the gas station to have my car washed with so much confidence. First, I was going to get gas, and
Yeah.
then after filling up my tank, I was going to then go and wash the car. And then I got there and I didn't find anybody. Like there was nobody there. And I'm like, okay, so how will the gas get from the machine into my car? Back home in Nigeria, we're not used to doing it ourselves. There'll be a gas attendant to help you. And then
Oh, I
and
see.
then how was I going to drive my car? Like, okay, how do I do this whole? That's not a technology I'm used to, I'm afraid.
Right.
And so when I got there, all of the confidence with which I drove to the gas station evaporated.
Okay.
I went back home without filling the gas because I couldn't use the machine.
Right.
I didn't wash my car either.
Yeah.
And for many months after that, my car remained unwashed
Yeah.
um, until I got my confidence back and tried again.
Right. Was it a bit of a culture shock coming to
It
Canada?
was, it was, it was like I didn't imagine I was going to have to come out of the car and do that by myself.
Right.
And I was scared, like, well, what if I pressed something wrong and maybe this whole gas station explodes and then I was going to be in trouble. So like,
Right.
I'd rather not take that risk. I'll just go back home.
So what made you start writing novels?
I actually started out writing poetry, like doing poetry and stuff.
Mhm.
But then I was a very voracious reader. Like I read a lot of novels even from when I was elementary school. Even before I was a teenager, I started reading like really big novels and stuff.
Mm.
And by the time I got to college, I said to myself, like, you know what? I think I can do this, right? And I've been inspired enough by the books I had read to feel like I can write my own book. So I thought it was a challenge I had to give myself to do that. And I decided to do fiction, like proper novels of a number of pages long, because I like the connections, just starting a story, developing the characters, seeing them come alive, seeing them come together. I thought it was a challenge. Um, and I also see writing as a way of preserving history. Um, if I wrote a story today about Saskatoon or my life here in Saskatoon, somebody is going to read it, and either be inspired by it or gain a knowledge or an insight about Saskatoon that they probably never had before. So I also feel like, it's a way of preserving history, of sharing knowledge and teaching other people stuff that they probably wouldn't know. I um, grew up reading novels about other countries I had never been to. So I could describe them as if I have been to those countries. Like, so reading opened my eyes to a new world. And I hope that with my writing, I can open other people's eyes to new worlds as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's an amazing reason to write. Do you have any authors or books that have inspired you growing up that you read?
Yes, I did. I was inspired by two Nigerian authors. Both
Okay,
of them are late now. One is Buchi Emecheta. She's a lady. She wrote a lot of books that inspired me, and I think she would be the reason why I decided to write. There is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe is also a very well-known Nigerian author whose style of writing I loved,
right.
and he inspired me. And internationally, I read a lot of James McKenna books, so he would write novels like Hawaii, or The Sentinel. He was mostly into historical fiction, so he would go to a place and write about a city or a country or a people, and that's something that inspired me and ignited my love for travel. Just because through his books, I could find myself in worlds that I could only imagine. That ignited something in me.
So have you traveled anywhere else since coming?
Yeah, in my previous reincarnation. So in my previous life in Nigeria, like I said, I worked with politicians a lot,
Right.
and there was a lot of traveling involved in the jobs that I had done. So yeah, I've been to several countries.
Right. What's the favorite, where's the favorite place that you've been to, that you've traveled to? You have one?
Do I have a favorite place out of all the places I've been to? Um, I liked Mexico because we were in Cancun, and
Uh,
Cancun was a very beautiful. It's a very beautiful city. Nice people because it's a tourist place. So
right.
yeah, I particularly love Cancun, and I kind of more than most of the places I had been to. It was one place I thought I would like to come back here, just for holiday.
So have you ever encountered any challenges and how did you manage to overcome them?
Yeah, life would always throw you those curveballs, I guess. But just staying focused. Also realizing that, like most challenges will not be permanent, like they will come for a season and they will go away. So just knowing that those obstacles will come and the obstacles will go away. But staying focused, staying grounded, having a lot of interest to keep me distracted whenever I have to deal with stuff. That helps a lot. That helps a lot. But like I said, just staying focused and knowing what I want
Right.
has always helped me whenever I found myself in challenging situations.
Right. Like goal setting and stuff like that, eh?
Setting a goal, keeping my eyes on the ball,
Right.
and just going for it. And so when distractions or situations that are completely out of my control, when those things happen, I quickly tell myself that no, this is out of your control, and worrying about it is not going to solve any problem. So why
Yeah.
don't you just forge ahead?
So what's your biggest passion in life?
My biggest passion, I think, more than my writing, which is something that takes a lot of my time, is giving back. Being there for other young writers who didn't have the sort of opportunities I had growing up. So in the last few years, I have ran a lot of competitions back home in Nigeria, where young writers get to showcase their talents, discover their talents, have confidence in their abilities to write, encourage them, stay on to mentor them for a while if I have the time to. And that has been my greatest passion. As a writer, I may not win awards or win all the awards. I may not make so much money. But if I'm able to help other people who have a similar passion, younger people who have a similar passion, become published or have their work out there, then I would die a happy man.
Right. I see. I see. So if you could give thanks to three people, who have been the most influential to you, who would they be?
Would be my mom and dad. My mom and dad, would those be would that be one person, or
Sure, that could count as one.
that can count as one?
Yeah.
So my mom and dad, my dad passed in 2014, but it was a major influence in my life, and exposed me to reading, and my interest in wanting to study law. My mom, because of all the sacrifices she made for me while growing up, like I saw her literally sell her, like her assets and property and stuff to make sure I got a good education, and was supportive all through my life. So my first dean of my faculty, yeah, he discovered me as a young 15-year-old, and over the years has been there to guide me and to mentor me whenever I needed mentorship. So he's been a great influence in my life, and also, yeah, one of my late bosses, Oronto Douglas, he passed in 2015. He died of cancer, but
Sorry to hear.
he was someone who had a great influence on me as well. Like, just making me realize that life is not always about you. Like, you weren't created for your own self aggrandizement, if that's the word. Like, there's more to life than pleasing yourself, doing things to make yourself happy if the people around you aren't happy. So I think I learned that from him, like, to give, to impact whatever community you find yourself in. Those are three people, should I say four,
Yeah.
whose influence shaped me and have guided me.
Sounds like you have some great mentors.
Yeah, I've been lucky.
So, how did you start working for Saskatoon Open Door Society?
Oh, that's an interesting story. So when we got to Canada, I'm one of those people who, like, pessimistic, being processed and approved for this journey. I really didn't want to think too much about it. Like, you know what, you're gonna go until I was sure I had all the approvals and the papers and stuff. So I didn't really do like the sort of research I would have ordinarily done before traveling. Like, okay, if you get to Canada, where would you work? What would you do? Will you be able to use your certificates and stuff like that? So I came in pretty oblivious of a lot of things, and didn't really have any friends or knew anyone in Canada or even in Saskatoon to say, okay, when I come, this person is going to guide me or advise me. So it was just like, entering the plane, and whatever I find, I would live with it. So I also came in with expectations, like, yeah, I have my law degree, I have my MBA. I don't think getting a job would be difficult. In any case, it was the Canadian government who processed my application and said, oh, you can come. So it means that there must be work for me to do here, and I just have to take my time, and I'll find it. But the reality hits, like we would teach in cultural bridging, when we have presentations on culture shock and all that stuff. Like, the first phase of arriving in Canada is the honeymoon phase, where it feels like you're on holiday. So for 2 weeks or so, it felt like I was on holiday, like I was, going to all the shopping malls, buying stuff, and just making myself happy. And then, gradually you realize, oh, the money I came to Canada with is slowly depleting. Like,
Right.
very soon there won't be money for all this. So you have to work and you have to pay your bills. And so we came to Open Door to document ourselves, the papers we needed to get across, get our health card and all that stuff. And Open Door was going to help us do that. And then while we were doing that, our case officer was like, oh, would you like to enroll for the skills for work program, learn how to make your resume, prepare your resume and stuff like that. And we reluctantly said, okay, yeah, we will do that. If I already have a resume, why would I have to learn how to make a resume? But I didn't realize that it was a different format, and everything here was different. We reluctantly came up from downstairs in Swords, came upstairs, started having a conversation with someone, about our qualifications and job options and those sort of things. And I categorically said to the lady who was attending to me that, you know what, I'm not going to work. Like, I don't want to look for a job. I will just stay and, somehow the job will find me. And another officer was passing by and he overheard me saying that. And he stopped and he said, oh, like, can I have a word? And he sat down and he shared his own experiences. And I heard the term survival job for the first time. Like, never heard of a thing called survival job before. And it kind of explained, everything to me. Like, the sooner you face the reality that you're in a different country and it's probably going to be a different life, the better for you. And this was my own experience. And he shared his own story with us. And I instantly enrolled for the Skills for Work program. And I think that changed the trajectory of my stay here in Canada, because I then enrolled for the Skills for Work program, took it seriously, thanks to amazing people like Ariel and Janet and the rest of them who mentored us through that process, taught us how to write our resumes, cover letters, even how to read, look for jobs and job postings and all those sort of things. And the acceptance that I needed to have my Canadian experience even when you're looking for work. So of course, yeah, I jumped right at it and got my first survival job, um, which was in the dead of winter, like working out in the winter in the cold. It was difficult, it was really difficult, but I just realized that I had to forget about all my accomplishments in Nigeria, whatever it was I had achieved, and realized that it's not the best thing. I think that the Canadian government can do better in this regard, but you know, at that moment you just want to adjust. At that moment you want to fit in. At that moment you want to belong. You want to be able to get a job and pay your bills and take care of yourself and all that. So I started out with a survival job, and then was also introduced to volunteering here in Open Door. So I opted and volunteered for Open Door, and got to meet people, know people, keep myself busy, keep my mind focused on helping other people, even though I thought myself, I needed help at the time. But I gave myself to volunteering, accepted the fact that I had to do those survival jobs. And then the opening came here in Open Door. The opening was announced and I applied. I was invited for an interview, and I did well, and I was offered the position. But I think that if I hadn't encountered Open Door, to be honest, if I hadn't had that conversation, that changed the way I saw my stay here, I probably would have still been struggling. And um, I got a lot of help, a lot of support. Open Door was really, really like a family for me. Like I said, I didn't know anyone when I came to Canada, but in the class of 16, we were in the Skills for Work program. Even within the 6 weeks we did the program, we exchanged phone numbers. We started our own WhatsApp group. So the people I was in class with became like my first friends and my first family here in Saskatoon. We would visit each other during Thanksgiving. If somebody has a baby, we would be there for them. If it was a birthday, we became a family. The class of the Skills for Work class we became a family. They became like a source of strength and support for me, as I was for them as well. And the opportunity to then work for Open Door also came from that experience, from volunteering and being recognized as somebody who maybe has something to offer, and applying for the job and getting the job. So really, I must commend ESU for the work you guys are doing. And it's really amazing for me. Sometimes it's like I still pinch myself, like, okay, is this real? Like, is this really happening to you? Because barely a year ago, I was new in this country and I didn't have work, didn't know how to navigate myself and navigate my way around. And here I am today. I'm being interviewed by someone the ESU unit about my journey so far.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all that. So you had mentioned that you did volunteering. So do you recommend volunteering for job seekers, and why?
Oh, I would absolutely recommend that because it gives you something to do, right? At the time when you need to go out, you need your sanity. Because if you didn't have a job, or you didn't have friends, or you didn't have anywhere to go, you would just be home, right? But volunteering gives you an opportunity to go out and to meet other people, to network. So I think it's a great thing. But like for me, even beyond that, people would tell me then that you needed to network. Yes, I agree. You needed to network. That was important. But for me, it was even just being available to help other people. So if it was volunteering at a children's event and just helping the children, guiding them and making sure they're out of harm's way and giving myself in that manner, or if it was volunteering in Lighthouse, and helping sort out clothes for homeless people or food for homeless people. Every time I did that, I felt useful to myself. So even if I didn't have a job and I was going back home to nothing, the 2 or 3 hours I was there, I felt useful to myself. And I needed that reminder I still had something to give, even if it was just my time. So I think it really, really helped me, like mentally. It helped me mentally. It made me feel like I was responsible and I was important for something. So it's something I would absolutely recommend for any newcomer, not just newcomer, like just anybody, like whatever position or station you find yourself in. At some point you have to go beyond yourself and be there for other people, because who knows, when you also might need other people to be there for you. So that experience really, really changed the whole trajectory of my stay in Canada so far. I probably wouldn't be here having this conversation with you if I hadn't opted to volunteer. And because I mentioned all those stories in the beginning about my writing and all that stuff. And the interesting part of my journey or my story was that after volunteering, the coordinator innocently said to me, "Oh, Michael, can you write down your experience volunteering?" And she didn't know that I'm a writer, right? So I scored, like, it was so easy to, and she expected me to get back to her in 2 weeks with what I had written, but I'm a writer. So the next day I'd already written it and sent it. I was like, "How did you do that?" And I smiled to myself, like, okay, if only you knew like how easy this is for me, um, you won't be so impressed. So I think like the opportunities would find you when you give yourself to serving other people.
Wow, you sound like a stand-up guy. What classes are you taking at Open Door Society, and how did they help you?
I did the Skills for Work thing
Okay.
program for 6 weeks. I did that. We, of course, were exposed to volunteering opportunities then. I got a certificate in customer care, which also was a great help for me.
Nice.
Until I then got the job working with Open Door earlier in the year, just before COVID-19. And now as a cultural bridging facilitator, it's a very interesting and fascinating job. We get to do presentations, to undergraduates, elementary school students, college students. We get to have conversations with newcomers, about culture shock or cultural competency or diversity, what it means to be included, just helping to bridge the gap between, the newcomers and the community generally. And that's fascinating work. That's something you do and you go back home every day feeling like, it's not so much about the money, but I have helped someone today. Like I've made a difference today, in someone's life or in someone's experience. So that's very fulfilling for me.
Of course, it's a very important role to play. So have you experienced any challenges in your work, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, of course, the work culture is different. So yeah, sometimes you see things being done differently. Clocking in, clocking out, you have to learn to do all that. Dealing with the technology at work, and
Right.
the processes which may be different from the processes that and I've been familiar with back home in Nigeria. But I've been fortunate to have colleagues who are very supportive, and I always ask questions like I would bother everybody around me just asking the simplest thing, like how do I use the photocopier?
Right.
How do I scan this document? And somebody will show you. And thankfully also because of technology, a couple of things you can just watch a YouTube video, like, okay, how do I get this done, or how do I, and you would learn. But it's been interesting, and like I said, there have been people around to guide and show me the route.
So, have you experienced any unique challenges as a newcomer since coming to Saskatoon?
When the realization dawned on me, that looking for work, and I say this all the time, I think like for every newcomer, whether you're an immigrant or a refugee, one of the most important things, is that economic ability, ability to get work, to pay your bills. That's like the primary challenge, because once you're able to do that, then everything else, I can deal with the weather. Like I would live in a minus 70-degree country, like if I have job, I have something doing. Like we could deal with a lot of all this stuff going on around us if we have work, right? So that's like a very major challenge for most people. And for me particularly, just making that adjustment, that you have to start at this level. It doesn't matter what you had accomplished in the past. You have to begin again, begin from the very scratch. That was very, very, very challenging for me. And I know, like, for a few weeks after I first came to Canada, like I couldn't even like call home and have an honest conversation with them about my life here in Canada, because they won't understand. They're probably like, oh, why don't you come back home? Like, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to why do you have to accept a menial position? Like, if you are back home in Nigeria, you probably have people you are paying to do these things for you. So why do you have to do it? And so that was really, 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 really difficult, accepting that reality that you have to do that. And it makes you have doubt in yourself and your ability. I guess with time, when you understand that you're probably going through this experience because there's somebody who is coming behind you that you need to share this experience with to make them stronger. That made me, just continue. And I was lucky. I got my lucky break, and the process of cycling then became a lot easier. But that was a very unique challenge. The challenge of accepting I had to reinvent myself.
Have you failed at anything? And if you have, what have you learned from it?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it is. Failure is hard to like
admit.
Yeah, to admit, and also not necessarily, it might not be true for everyone too, right? Maybe,
yes.
Because through failure you learn from that and you learn from your mistakes and whatnot. So if you don't have an answer for that, that's okay.
Trust me, I've failed. I have.
But yeah, not anything in particular.
Yeah, maybe not something I want to share.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Could you describe like your expectations here while working in Canada?
For me, my own expectations would be to be able to give back, to be able to assist other newcomers as they arrive, helping their own process of integration a lot easier than maybe I had mine. Contributing to the community, in any way that I can. I think like back home in Nigeria, but through my writing and other things that I did, I had the opportunity of contributing, like in a very obvious way, of being a part of the fabric of that of my city. And I hope that in some way, in some shape, manner, or form, even here in Canada, beyond just working in Open Door, I would be able to be a part of the community, be a part of conversations around the direction the community is going, and to be useful.
Well, I think that's it. That's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. It was great to hear about your stories and your experiences here. And I'm sure a lot of people listening will be able to learn a lot from that. So thank you so much. And if you guys watching at home or wherever you are, if you have any questions or feedback, feel free to email us at esuwebcast@sods.sk.ca. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here with us. Great having you here. Thank you so much. Bye.